440-981 is the WhatsApp number. You can also join us on the live stream. We're streaming on YouTube. You can find us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. So I will be doing this alone, obviously not. For analysis of the stories this morning, I have two amazing gentlemen in with me this morning, Joseph Obari and, of course, Bozimo. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Great to have you in.
Good morning,
Good
Ayo.
morning, Sir Joseph.
Morning.
Good morning, Sir Ayo. Good morning to all of the wonderful listeners out there.
Welcome, listeners. You're all very, very appreciated for joining us, as always.
Indeed, as always. And of course, I appreciate you for taking time, as usual, to come through and, of course, take a look at the stories making the rounds. And once again, we shall begin our journey in the Punch newspaper. The Senate on Thursday approved 15% from the Consolidated Revenue Fund as source of funding for the newly created zonal development commissions by member states. Now, the approval followed consideration and adoption of the report of the Senate Committee on Special Duties on the bills establishing the commissions. Now, earlier on, the lawmakers were actually divided over the source of funding for the newly created zonal development commissions. And the disagreement emerged during the clause-by-clause consideration of the South-South Development Commission established Bill 2024, which serves as the structural template for other zonal commissions. AB, first of all, give your perspective on this one. I know Sir Joseph is going to come in and give a legal comment on this one. Let's start with you.
Now, you see, it doesn't matter how much you tinker with the ingredients for making a pot of soup. If you add iodine, the soup is ruined. I say that to say we keep creating these zonal commissions, this and all in an effort to drive development. When there is a template called federalism, where each state, or if they want to group themselves into regions, can generate its own income, drive its own development, and pay taxes to the center. We keep doing this inverted thing where it is the federal government that is trying to drive development down to the ground level. It will never work. Federalism is the opposite. Each state has its own fate in its hands. If one state decides it's going to be the site of education, it is right. It can compete favorably with others. If someone else says we're going to be the manufacturing hub, if somebody says we're going to be the logistics hub, this whole thing where we're creating these commissions by any name necessary, and I understand that these commissions were being created every 15 days, every market day, because of the Niger Delta Development Commission. So everybody wanted one, this commission, that. Then finally they became so many, they said, let's just make it regional. Let's make Nigeria a developed nation by simply saying each state, with the allocation you are given, develop in your best interest. At the end of the day, there'll be friendly competition. So now the possibility of conflicts arises because, like one of the senators or a couple of them said, which state governor is going to sit back and say, okay, we're going to take 15% of the money by fiat at the federal level and allocate there. I think right now the Constitution has a certain allocation of revenues, right? The federal gets like 51 or 52%, state governments get 24 or so percent, and or something. There's a way they adjust it, and then local governments. So where is this 15% supposed to come from? Suddenly from the states? I don't know that will work. So guess what? There may be lawsuits from the states, but I just think there's a lot of putting policies without really hitting the point in this current government. The current government has not been able to break the barrier of communication of intent. Maybe they have good plans, but the way they're going about it, in my view, is absolutely poor. The execution is very poor.
All right, Joseph, can you get your thoughts in? I mean, looking at where we are now, some of the bills that were passed, they include the South-South Development Commission Establishment Bill 2024, Northwest Development Commission Act Amendment Bill 2024, the Southeast Development Commission Act Amendment Bill 2024. I mean, so many different commissions coming under the Ministry of Regional Development. First of all, what is your legal take on this? And at the same time, is this really something that will drive development across board going forward?
I think AB has simply just stated the obvious, that we don't really need all this multiplicity of agencies that are aimed at developing the whole of Nigeria. You're mapping the entire country when you're talking about regional development. But I want to draw everybody's attention to what the NDDC has stood for over the years. It stood for profligacy, wanting brazen theft of public fund, and the whole region is bereft of development after so many years. So it's the same template is going to play. It's job for boys. It's job for the boys. So what happens in the what happened in the Niger Delta? Somebody sits down in Abuja, gets a contract because it's close to the source of power. It buys it from somebody in the Niger Delta, gets the contract, it buys it for so it's just, you have people who are just fronting for some powerful individuals. We've had ministers who have been mentioned to have taken contracts running into billions of naira and never executed projects. It's the same thing that is going to happen across the country. And as B said, we don't need this. We don't need this multiplicity of. The federal government should concentrate on providing federal roads that cut across states and regions. That's what they should do. Open up the place, and then let states now take off from there, construct roads that are that feeder to these ones, and then of course, the more you open up the place, the more it creates for development and in establishments of industry. Provide amenities, water, and so on. So businesses can come in and do their business. Provide power. All this drama about with this commission, this or that. It's just job for the boys and more money to be stolen. Now, talking about the legality of this, of course, in no person than the Seriaka Jiskin, who is former governor of Bayelsa State, a former attorney general of a state, has warned them that there are legal implications for what they are doing, because it is a breach of the constitution when you tamper with state money in that manner. And of course, some states are not going to just sit down quietly and watch them do this, what they are doing. They have already been warned. Among them, there are lawyers. And they've told them, look, this will not fly. But for whatever political exigency they think they must push it through. So we are going to watch and see. This is not the end of this story. A lot more is going to come following this. But of course, some states will challenge this, definitely.
And we're here watching and waiting to see how it plays out, to have further discussions down the line. All right, Joseph, let me stay with you, and we'll take a look at the Daily Trust and talk about some security matters. Now, we've kind of discussed this before, but it is important to bring this to attention once again. Now, the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru, has ordered troops of Operation Fansariyama to produce wanted terrorist kingpin Bello Turji. Now, he gave the order 24 hours after President Bola Tinubu rejigged his cabinet, leaving him and 30 others untouched. Now, Bayo Ononuga, presidential spokesman, had stated the reason, which President Tinubu also spared Bello Matawale, that's the Minister of State for Defense. Obviously, we're aware of the rejigging of the cabinet that was done. Some ministers taking out, new ministers coming in, other ministers shuffled to other ministries and so on and so forth. Of course, security wasn't touched at all, and that is being, should I say, alluded to here by Minister of Defense Mohammed Badaru. But I mean, he's given orders for his troops to produce Bello Turji. Hasn't he been giving this order before now, or why is he re-giving the order again?
Yeah, it just tells you how inept and unserious we can be taken, because I don't remember that the defense minister of the United States, or defense secretary of the United States, had to issue a special warning, advice or order to American troops for them to go to get a Osama bin Laden.
Exactly.
It was strategy. People for years, they were planning, they were plotting, they were perfecting. They didn't talk. Nobody was doing drama, coming on air to buy space and talk about this. We are doing this. The last time it was all the defense chiefs went to Sokoto, flew to Sokoto to go and threaten that they are going to go after these people. We don't need all this drama. We don't need all of that. What we need is strategic thinking, planning, military planning. I mean, we're a ragtag army shaking our one of the strongest forces on the continent. Now, the Nigerian military is ranked high amongst the entire on the continent, and then we have a ragtag team of some riffraffs giving us a tough time, and then our minister goes to give special order just because he wants to save his skin, and the next maybe they are going to reshuffle if he doesn't perform. We don't need all of this. All these things are just this, the optics for the media. And now, of course, not that they're showing that they really are doing anything serious. We don't need any order. Our troops don't need, they know who the enemy is. They know who the enemy is. And actually, it's related to another story in this place where we are even defending how our weapons get into the hands of bandits and all that. We don't need dramas. What we need are actions, So why the minister spared? It's for political reasons. We all know. 2027. That's all.
I mean, you can remember that a few days ago, these ministers and the Bello Turji were exchanging emails and videos up and down.
Yeah.
The fact that they were engaging. Of course, they made a statement. The terrorist had the guts to respond to them.
To respond, yes.
And the fact that he's still alive to respond tells me that this minister doesn't understand the role he is in. Speak slowly, carry a big stick, and squash. That is the only thing he's supposed to do. All this getting on TV, flying up and down when you're not a witch at night, it's not necessary. Just find the terrorist, terminate him, let's move on. Make Nigeria secure.
The witch at night, or a character out of the Harry Potter series. Oh my goodness, interesting. We'll take a quick break right now. We'll come back in. Amy, I'm going to come back to you. And we're still going to be talking about, to a degree, the rejigging of this cabinet. And of course, presidency is saying that Nigerians' feedback actually shaped that cabinet reshuffle. Keep it tuned to Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. Bill, you want to wound me this morning.
Look, if the fly go to fly, come back. So what? Why not walk out the road?
These guys are just actors.
Drama, honestly.
Drama all over the place.
These people make episodes of Netflix look boring.
Yeah.
I always say it's a poorly written reality TV show.
I'm telling you.
Not poorly in terms of the entertainment value, but poorly because we're at the wrong end of it. That's just the really reason why I say poorly.
Precisely, because while the show is poorly written, the impact is so much on ordinary good people of Nigeria. Negative impact.
Welcome back to Freshly Pressed on a Feel Good Friday morning on Smooth 98.1, your love music, love live station. Ayokunmi here, as well as my analyst in this morning, taking a look at the stories and giving their analysis, and of course, breaking it all down, AB Bozimo, and of course, Joseph Obari. Welcome back in, gentlemen. Great to have you on Friday. As usual, let me take some messages. Speaking of messages, you can get through to us and share your thoughts on WhatsApp on 0809-444-0981. 0809-444-0981. You can also join us on YouTube. We're streaming at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. You can drop your comment there, and I'll take that as we get along on the show. Who's talking to us here? Tony from Lagos Metropolis says, good morning to you as well, Tony. He says, I'm sending AB a dry cleaning bill for making me spill coffee on my shirt when he said iodine in soup. And he further says, the fact that the acting MD of the NDDC, that's Kemi Ponde, is still walking free today after the 2019 budget scandal is very telling on Nigeria. Thank you for sharing your thoughts there, Tony. William says, I do not agree with you guys this morning as per the agency. And while not making assumptions nor agreeing with the agency creation, yet I still believe it could be a way to develop the regions outside of the federal system being pushed. Let's blame the individuals that embezzle the funds and those that feast on our
That's
collective
exactly
funds.
the point. We are saying it's not going to work.
To be positive, I think if properly implemented and managed, it will work. Well, I mean, looking at the antecedents of the
Yes.
NDC, you know, I mean,
Yes.
I guess that's the crux of the matter. Looking at what is already on ground, and you have more, will it work? Well, let us see. He further says, if we have true federalism and the wrong people are there, we still will not be developed. So it's about the people and the person. So I guess we should be working on the people before we begin to talk about the processes there, the people, and so on and so forth. That's the way I see it. All right, AB, let's get back into the groove of things. Let's head into the punch. Like I said before, still talking about the reshuffling. Now, the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Ononuga, has stated that Nigerians' perception played a key role in President Bola Tinubu's decision to dismiss 5 ministers from his cabinet. Of course, on Wednesday, the president approved the reassignment of 10 ministers to new portfolios, relieved 5 of their duties, and nominated 7 new individuals for Senate confirmation. And, providing more details on the reshuffle, Ononuga explained that the decision to remove these ministers was based on public perception and empirical data. According to him, the special advisor to the president on policy and coordination, Hadiza Bala Usman, introduced a technological system that allowed Nigerians to assess the performance of the ministers. So looking at that, AB, if we're going to go by that, shouldn't there have been more ministers taken out of the equation and not even sent to other ministries? I mean, if that's the case.
I was going to say that I respectfully but vehemently disagree with Mr. Bayo Ononuga, because if public perception played any role whatsoever in this, the number one minister to be dismissed from his role as minister would have been President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from the Ministry of Petroleum, where tragedies are happening every day in the lives of Nigerians. So introducing a technology, or you will tell me that, okay, the entire ranking of performance across the whole ministries was at most 10%. And then some people were at 2%. So you took the last 5 who were at 2 and 1%. Because performance-wise, in general, I would argue that, first of all, the decision to create so many ministries was already a wrong step in the first place. Second of all, the performance of the people, I put this challenge out without using Google. Name 10 Nigerian ministers. Most times you cannot, because all of them fit into a blur of insignificance in the daily lives of Nigerians. Literally all of them. Yes, I can pick 2, 3, 5. Why? I'm in the news with you. We discuss these people every day. But the average person's life is not touched. Their healthcare is not improved. Their education is under stress. Their security is not. So we have ministers for all these things. So for goodness sake, if they wanted to reshuffle, they should have reshuffled 48 of them out. They should have consolidated the United States of America. The people that we try to say we are copying have only 15 cabinet level ministers. If the people who you call ministers, 15 to run this country. And arguably the economy and quality of life and everything are so much better. They have their faults, they have their problems, but with just 15 ministers, they're running this country. What are we doing 48 plus 1 now? Okay, we reduced 1 spot, then we added 1 livestock. What are we doing? We're just using time, wasting Nigerians' lives. Generations of Nigerians are not getting the benefit of what should be the benefit of being Nigerians. It is tragic. So no, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, the public could not have had a say in this. Otherwise, all of them, including advisors like him, would have been kicked out.
So Joseph, let me get you in on this one. I mean, looking at what was said, should this even be the basis of rejigging the cabinet's public perception? Should it not be based on the work done or the work not done? I mean, should the public even have should I say an input into, oh, this person should go or not? Should it not be based on merits at the end of the day?
There's a play on the public side. It's simply that they want to give the impression that they are listening. Many times we've accused this administration of not listening to Nigerians. So the government wants to give us the impression through Bayo Naluga that they are listening and that, oh, this is because their perception. And just like Ibi said, and I've said it somewhere else, if they are actually listening to public perception, then the Minister of Petroleum should be removed from the office. The president should have just left that office and found somebody who can do that job, because currently he's not doing it. So we know that all these things are just what we know in public relations. This is just manipulation of people's perception. They are doing things because they want to prove or they want to show that they are listening to people. I think it's also tied up to another story we have here, where the president is trying to cut down on expenditure and all of that. These are the things Nigerians are complaining about. That you're saying we should sacrifice, but you're not seeing it in your lifestyle and so on. So you find sacrificial lambs, or some cars should be removed and all that. Is that the real cost of money was or wastage in the administration? We know where the wastages are.
Indeed. Let me take a message or two here. JP says, sad narrative from the president's essay. If indeed there was a scorecard, a show of the summary would have been in order. Public perception, 5 out, 7 in. Oh, come on. Cheers. Thank you for sharing your thoughts there, AB. Wendy says, I listened to parts of Mr. Onaga's interview. Sounded really dud, like the regime. I mean, that is public perception we're talking about here. Tony from Marine Beach says, if it were feedback from Nigerians that informed the cabinet reshuffle and not settlements and 2027 in focus, the president heard us partially. Minister of Power, Minister of Petroleum, among others, should go, and he should cut down on the bogus cabinet. This is what we're saying, and I hope Bio heard this clearly. All right, thank you for your messages. Keep them coming in. I'll take them before we end the show. Let's get back into security matters here, Joseph. I think I put security matters squarely at your table this morning. Please bear with me on that one. Coming out of the Vanguard. This is like this story is like should I say an update to what we took last week when the NSA Nuhu Ribadu was speaking. Now the Defense Headquarters DHQ has disclosed that many of the arms and ammunition recovered from terrorists were originally stolen from the Nigerian Armed Forces and police during ambushes or surprise attacks. Now Major General Edward Buba, the Director of Defense Media Operations, clarified on Thursday that personnel of the armed forces do not deliberately supply weapons to terrorists. Now, he's responding to allegations of military complicity in the movement of arms. Now, he emphasized that the proliferation of arms worsened by the collapse of Libya and insecurity in the Sahel region. This has contributed to the crisis. So he's more or less answering or responding to the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, who condemned this issue, saying that a lot of these arms finding their way into the hands of these terrorists, some of our officials or military personnel and security personnel are complicit, more or less.
Joseph, in case his line is having a challenge,
It seems so.
I want to say before he jumps in that I believe 100% in the military. Okay, Joseph, you're back. Please go ahead if you are ready. You are muted. You're muted, Joseph. You're muted. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So the point is this: it's so pathetic for the defense, for the defense headquarters or to respond in this manner and say that guns were stolen from them. That's why they are in the arms of the wrong persons. In other parts of the world, when troops lose rifles or even weapons in any manner, It's a very serious matter. Even in war, if you lose your weapon, you're on your own. It's like you're left to chances. You can be killed. But if it's lost real in combat, and so you know that it's going to likely fall into the hands of the enemy. So no military takes lightly the loss or theft of weapons. Nigeria has happened to me here.
Yes, of course.
So,
That's why the Minister of Electricity of Energy,
Of
why
power.
is he still in the cabinet? Please go on.
he says that collapse of the grid
National
is
grid.
not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It happens everywhere in the world. So it is really out of place for the defense headquarters to come out to try to defend what the ministers, the special advisor said, and the national security advisor said, or try to counter it, because it's shameful. In the first place, no military voluntarily comes out to admit that they steal weapons from them. No military in the whole world. I don't know
Scandalous.
of any except the Nigerian military that will come out in the public to give excuse that the reason why their weapons are in hands of enemies of the state is that, and there are known state actors for that matter, is because they were stolen. How were they stolen? How were they stolen? How? Is it burglary or whatever? They just came and broke your armory and stole your weapons. Or how you know that's if you go to any military unit, the armory is the no-go area. When you are assigned a weapon, there is strict documentation and regiment about if you lose it while you're going to face charges. Unless it's different in the Nigerian military. And from what I've run researches and so on, in fact, in the US, if you are a Marine and if you use your weapon, you're off. They can shut down a whole base when one unit is missing, one item of the weapon is missing, to search for it until they find it. There is no peace for anybody. And then we have defense headquarters comes out to tell us that, oh, the reason why the weapons are in hands of criminals is because they were stolen from us, for goodness sake.
May I just come in here? The part that hurts me the most is that it is done during ambushes or surprise attacks. Why are we having ambushes and surprise attacks on our valuable military in Nigeria? How can we even contemplate that? We're not saying that accidents will happen, but he's saying it so casually. Oh, this is the stolen when they attacked us, and obviously our soldiers are killed, because no normal military person will allow his rifle leave his hand. It's almost at the point of death. So get to the root of the problem. Stop these terrorists, and such a story should never ever occur again. It's embarrassing, but it's pitiful for our soldiers. I value their lives more than anything, even the guns, their lives.
All right, let me take a couple of messages as we round up this morning. Peter says, you see this government, they will keep playing with Nigerians. This APC government, they will keep playing with Nigerians, and until we're ready to take back our country, they will continue. Joseph Menu says, I will keep saying that Nigeria is unexplainable to human beings alive. Recall during the Buhari administration, the almighty NDA was invaded until date. What's the outcome of the investigation? Imagine the humongous budget for defense annually, yet a bandit who is in no way close to Saddam Hussein is threatening the whole country. Who else is talking to us here? Michael says, tragedies are not just happening, but there are also no repercussions. There is no accountability. The list is endless. Babatunde says, on Turji, I make the bold assertion to say he's a friend of the military. Otherwise, what is the essence of the chit-chat between him and the Minister of Defense? And when will this administration learn to cut down government spending, creating more ministries rather than reducing? We are adding more ministers. I can conclude to say that this administration has misplaced priorities. And let me squeeze one more in. Oluwaseyi says, militaries all over the world lose weapons during conflicts. The stories abound in Iraq and Afghanistan. We're not in Iraq and Afghanistan, unfortunately. Unfortunately, for me, this is a non-issue. Nigeria's issue is that it's lost mostly through corruption. And on that note, we have to call it a morning. Thank you so much for all your messages, and thank you so very much AB, and Joseph for joining me on a Friday. Hope you have a great weekend ahead.
Thank you very much.
And
Happy
everybody else.
Friday to everybody. God bless you all.
All right.
Yeah, cheers, everybody.
God bless Nigeria. Keep it tuned to Smooth 98.1. 8:15 will be time to take a walk into the locker room. Sports news. Tega will be in for that one. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks, guys. Great being here.
Thanks. So